out for you.
All right. Did you hear about the Andrews Air Force Base that was on lockdown?
No.
Yes. Because apparently they had an active shooter drill that was planned.
Oh, a drill.
It was a drill. However, then it was reported that instead of the drill, there was a real active shooter.
Aha!
That
Maybe he was an
going on.
actor.
But the interesting thing is that whenever they have these tragedies or a lot of these things, events that happen in the U.S., there's a lot of things that go around the internet saying that they were planning a drill, so the emergency response teams just happened to be there.
Whenever they plan a drill, something really happens.
So, anyway, this was the Air Force Base in Maryland. This is the same base that is the home of Air Force One. The two Boeing VC-25A aircraft, which the president flies on.
And maybe Michelle Obama.
And VP Joe Biden was due to fly out of the base as well. So anyway, at 9 o'clock in the morning, they said that there was an active shooter. They put everybody on lockdown. And then, lo and behold, they said there wasn't one. So what do you think about that?
I think that there's something going on.
Yeah. And then, moving along to terrorists.
Who?
Terrorists.
Oh, terrorists.
Terrorists. Now, apparently there was a week-long meeting on weapons in Geneva, and the UN, as a result of this, is reporting that we are at risk of an arms race fueled by artificial intelligence. And so experts, now this always gets me, experts are trying to come up with strict rules to control robots.
Well, I talked about that last week, if you remember.
Did you?
With the robot police and the robot that they would be trained to kill people so that no one gets blamed.
Right, but the issue with this is, again, I think they're trying to instill fear in people because, first of all, if you're at war, they have to have rules about the weapons. That makes no sense. I mean, either you're at war or you're not at war, right? Either you're going to kill people or you're not going to kill people.
Well, we are at war in a matter of speaking.
So, anyway, apparently this conference is warning that terrorists may not have the incentive to abide by the rules of robot war.
Like they would anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Now, it's so ridiculous.
Who writes these stupid things?
But it's to instill fear in the people. And now this was interesting to me because when I was in the Cotian Alps in Torre Pellice,
Watch your language.
there were it is a very white community, and it is a very small community.
Of course it's a white community.
And there were a lot of black people, young men, standing around on street corners. And I found this very odd because I've been there 2 or 3, maybe 4 times before, and I've never seen this. So I asked my cousin about this, and she said that the Waldensian Church is actually sponsoring these single men, refugees, to come to their area, and she doesn't know why. And the people, the Waldensian people, are actually very disturbed because they're paying for them to come to up in this area.
So why don't they ask, why are you doing this?
The Waldensian Church is paying for them to come. They're giving them shelter, they're giving them food, they're giving them 50 euros a day.
Maybe I should go.
And they're not families, she said. They're not integrating in the community. They don't know the culture. They don't know the language.
So then what the hell are they doing there?
So when I came home, I researched this.
Okay.
And back in January, apparently, there was an Italian ecumenical mission in Lebanon. Lebanon. And they were there to work out the final details of a pilot project to bring up to 1,000 refugees to Italy on humanitarian visas.
They already have like 1 million.
So they're not tempted to risk deadly sea crossings to get into Europe. And apparently this was the Federation of Protestant Churches in Italy and the Rome-based Catholic, it's called Sant'Egidio community. And they teamed up to ask the Italian government to grant these 1,000 humanitarian visas for refugees in camps in Lebanon, Morocco, there's a Morocco connection again, and Ethiopia. Isn't that where Obamas were?
No, they were in Liberia and Morocco.
Okay, but not Ethiopia?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think they were last time. But the thing is, they should put them in the Vatican.
Well, anyway, apparently this group wanted to airlift an initial group of about 100, it said, of its most vulnerable refugees. Most of them Syrians who were sick, disabled, elderly, women alone with children, and they wanted to start by the end of February. And this president of the Sant'Egidio community in Italy said that, quote, it's an exemplary agreement to avoid the voyages of death and exploitation of traffickers. He hoped Italy would offer more such visas, noting that vulnerable people can encompass many refugees today, and that other European countries follow suit. Now, while the organizers of the initiative are Christian, they say, the candidates for transfer include both Christians and Muslims.
They're just looking for trouble.
And then once in Italy, it said they will be provided with housing, healthcare, education, and vocational services. Now, all of this...
Except that then they can go to any country because there's no border.
Okay, but listen. Now, this was the thing. This article says, remember, who they are going to airlift. Disabled, sick, elderly, women alone.
So they can't move.
But I'm telling you, this is who they're telling you. But
yeah, but that's not what you saw.
That's right. They brought in young, single men with nothing to do, who don't speak the language,
and they didn't think that was going to be a problem.
And there's a problem, and it says that there was a 1.3 million euro project financed largely by the Waldensian Evangelical Church.
They should be ashamed of
1.3 years 13 again, or $1.42 million. So anyway, what's interesting again is this, what publicly they're telling people who they're going to bring in and who they brought in.
They should be...
And up in that little area, people don't see that. They read the news, but they're not up there actually visually seeing what's happening.
And then didn't you tell me today your cousin's house was robbed?
There was a string of burglaries, which has never happened before. People go up there, they don't leave their doors locked. I mean, it's a very small community, and now all this is happening. So,
yeah, big
and then
stupidity there.
As you were saying, all these people with nothing to do, they're going to be wandering into other countries because there's nothing to do. Of course.
After they rob Italy, they'll go over into France.
Yeah, and then they want to bring more of these people. So when you're reading about 1,000 humanitarian visas, this is where they are playing on your emotions, and they're doing something totally different.
No.
So wake up.
Really?
And then, now this was also interesting, Russia wants to make Star Trek-style teleportation a reality within 20 years.
Oh, can they do it sooner so I don't have to go to the airport anymore?
Yeah, I'm sure that's already there.
Yeah.
However, they're saying that they're going to spend $2.1 trillion to develop this high-tech solution, and they're believing that this will drive its economy in the next 20 years.
Hey, I would do it.
And then they're also working on the Hyperloop, which is a form of a magnetic levitation train.
Yes, I'm involved with that, remember?
Which could travel at 1,200 miles or 1,200 kilometers per hour.
My friends in Siberia.
Or 745 miles per hour. And they're expecting that the first section would link St. Petersburg to Moscow to transport cargo. So that's what they're saying. So a lot of things are going on in Russia.
Well, that is happening. I know that's happening.
So a lot of things are going on in Russia and have already gone on, such as this teleportation, which we already know is in existence. For that one. But hopefully it'll be ready for the public.
Maybe they can have it by September.
Then we can teleport the terrorists out, put them in a camp, right?
Put them into deep space.
And then they said there was a mysterious giant pyramid spotted on the ocean floor. That alien hunters who claim to have spotted a kraken.
A kraken?
That's a giant squid thing.
Yes, I know. I reported on that.
Now say they've seen an ancient UFO base on Google Earth. Or it's a massive underground or underwater alien base.
Either way.
That now exists. And then, here back to the U.S., apparently motorists are spotting UN trucks on the roads. Apparently tactical vehicles and motorists have been posting pictures online, and one website was asking if the UN is preparing for economic collapse in America.
Like it already hasn't happened.
It says the white trucks equipped with large off-road tires were seen being transported on Interstate 81. They appear to be Alpine Amarine's Pitbull VX swap truck models.
Who knows what that
and one person wrote, I can't begin to tell you how many of these I passed today on 81 near Lexington, Virginia. And another man in Texas wrote, wondering why 30 United Nations vehicles, fully loaded with combat-prepared troops, were driving down our highway in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, they're all over then. Yeah,
and the DailyMail.com actually reached out to the UN for comment, but hasn't heard back. And they also reached out to the Alpine Armoring company who makes these vehicles, and also did not get a statement.
You think they were going to answer them?
But the point being is why do we have these UN trucks on U.S. soil?
Yeah, well, you know what? We've seen similar things in other states in the Rocky Mountains. Hidden, they were hidden, but now they're in the open. Yeah,
now people are seeing them openly and posting their pictures on Facebook. And then there's a new book out, surprise, surprise, called The Evolution of Everything, How Ideas Emerge. The author is, let's see, Matt Ridley. And apparently he's talking about how Christianity spread across the Roman Empire like Starbucks to become the monopoly religion of the continent.
Yeah, we know that.
But the point is, again, we're talking about the Crusades and bringing that forward. And he said there were a lot of religions, and Christianity just happened to be the one that was right, that made its way and won.
Well, that's not really true, because it was purposely done that way by the Roman Empire, which I'll talk about in September.
Yes, but this is what he's saying. So I want you to be aware, again, how much that they're putting out Christianity, Muslims spreading crusades, and so forth. And right on the heels of that, now this is interesting. Apparently there was a Rockies-Blue Jays game, and I'm not a sports fan, but this caught my attention because it said, quote, "A biblical storm made for some incredible scenes at the Rockies game." And then it went on to say, this game was delayed for nearly 3 hours by what appeared to be, quote, "the end of the world." And then it talked about how it was delayed by a hailstorm and, quote, "Animals are marching in pairs past us towards the ark."
Oh, they were laughing about that.
And then, despite the, quote, "cataclysmic downpour," the grounds crew was able to get the field ready to play. So again, more biblical triggers for people, New World religion, and it's, continuing just in things like sports. It's like, okay, how can we mix sports and New World religion or biblical, some kind of triggers? Here we go. And next, have you heard of non-binary gender?
No.
Okay, non-binary gender is now legal in Oregon.
What is it?
It is, apparently, non-binary is an all-encompassing term for anyone who does not identify as just male or females. In other words, a whole new gender.
So it's not just transgender.
No, this is a whole new gender now. Apparently, the person who wrote it was talking about that bathroom laws have now been passed both federally and at the state level for transgender people who comprise only about 0.02% of the entire population.
That we know of.
So now, apparently there's an Army veteran named Jamie Shoup who's been transitioning from male to female since 2013. So he filed...
It's taken a long time to transition.
Well, it takes a while, but the
you
hormones
should just get in the cocoon and change.
Surgery and all that stuff. He's filed a petition with the state of Oregon in late April, demanding that his gender should be listed as non-binary because he said he's both male and female. He said he was assigned male at birth due to biology. And then he goes on to say, "I'm stuck with that for life. My gender identity is definitely feminine. My gender identity has never been male, but I feel like I have to own up to my male biology."
You were born a male for a reason.
Being non-binary allows me to do that. I'm a mixture of both. I consider myself a third sex.
But I consider him a lunatic.
So he goes on to say that male and female are the traditional categories, but they fail to properly categorize people like me. So he challenged that. And his petition to the court contained 2 letters from doctors that stated his gender should be listed as non-binary. So now they have this classification in Oregon. Yes, he won. So now it's non-binary is another.
Oregon also is legal to have pot, right? Well, don't make sense now.
Now, when you were away, I reported.
They're like, yeah, you could be non-binary, sure.
I reported while you were away that in New York City they now have 31 different gender classifications.
I can't imagine 31.
Okay, but now listen to this. Now, Facebook has 56 gender classifications.
I want to know what they are.
I did list the 31, so you'll have to go to Facebook to find out the 56. But now listen to this. Surprise, surprise. In the San Francisco Bay Area, therapists and physicians are seeing a surge in the number of families seeking medical intervention to help kids whose perceived genders and bodies don't seem to match. These vulnerable and confused children are increasingly being diagnosed as having gender dysphoria.
No, what's happening is their parents are not being parents.
But and the children are obviously confused. And then it goes on to say, in New York City, city workers who intentionally don't use the proper pronouns when addressing the LGBT individuals, listen to this, they can, and I reported on this, but I'm repeating.
Get arrested for not calling you the right thing.
They can face hefty fines or even jail time
for
that offense. If the individual indicated, in quotes, he or she wanted to be referred to...
How are you supposed to know that?
You have to ask.
Excuse me, person.
Yes.
Are you a he, she, or one of the other 56 designations?
Yes, and you have to ask them, or you can go to jail, or they face fines.
Oh, please. You know, that's why this country is going to disappear, because it's full of moronic, lunatic legislators, lawyers, and all those things. They should all be executed. Really.
And now, speaking of which, attorneys at the Transgender Law Center believe that the new non-binary gender classification in Oregon may be the first of its kind.
So if I decided I want to be a scorpion, and I refuse to have you say, don't call me sir or mister, it's I am scorpion.
It might be at this point. It said non-binary is still not an option for driver's license or state ID cards.
Oh, wait.
That means...
The driver's license can be like this big so you can have all the designations on there.
Okay, well listen to this. Non-binary people are denied medical services because they do not have a conforming gender identity.
Well, how the hell, what are they?
How can a doctor work on somebody that
First
they don't
of all,
know what they are?
People. I'm sorry, I don't care what you designate yourself. You either have an XX chromosomes or XY. Period.
Well, we did talk about in our True Reality Sexuality long
yes,
before
I know,
all of this.
XXY and all that
Long
stuff.
before all of this came up, that there truly are a group of people. They called themselves at that time, I don't know, I haven't been on their site, but intersex. And those people cannot be identified by the Y and X chromosomes as most people can. And so at that time, they generally turned them into females. And that group of people, when we wrote that book back in 2002, that group of people said, please leave us alone until we're old enough to make the determination. So we wrote about that in True Reality of Sexuality. That's different than what we're talking about here. Now, moving along to Ontario, Canada, your favorite country.
Ugh.
Apparently, Ontario is now introducing gender-neutral driver's licenses and health cards. Marie-France Lalonde, the Minister of Government and Consumer Services and Minister responsible for Francophone Affairs, that's her whole title.
Oh, let me guess, Quebec.
She says, many Ontarians do not identify as female or male. As society's understanding of gender evolves, government must adapt. Part of that is being more thoughtful about how and when we collect gender or sex information and how we use it. So the Liberal government said that it's making these changes to, quote, ensure the fair, ethical, and equitable treatment of people with trans and non-binary gender identity. So non-binary gender identity is apparently the new buzzword because I found it like all through these articles and I never heard about it before.
So if I want to start a movement for people that like red wine and need more rights to red wine, perhaps I could have my own little box on my identity.
Maybe. And it said that the Ontario will...
I'm RW+, red wine positive.
Ontario will also launch public consultations this summer to develop policies on how the government collects, uses, and displays sex and gender information on government forms and products. So, anyway, and the health cards will no longer display information about a person's sex. And beginning in early 2017... the drivers can select X instead of M or F for their gender identification.
Yeah, they should be X'd out all right.
So I thought that was interesting. And then there's a new web series called, quote, Queer Kids Stuff that's aimed at preschoolers.
That's abuse.
That's going to teach them to use the phrases gay, bisexual, and transgender. And there's telling them...
Well, now they need to have all those other 56
that
terms.
gay means love. When I was a child...
It's like a whole nother language.
Gay meant happy. If you were gay, you were happy.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I used to know a fellow and his last name was Gay. And the teacher used to talk about him being gay, blah, blah, and he was happy.
Yeah, and
so things have changed.
A dike was what they had in Holland to keep the water out.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed. So anyway, it says that while no U.S. preschool programs have yet indicated they'll take the series, it may be only a matter of time, and they want it implemented in preschool and pre-kindergarten classes. And because this is my last story, but because this here in the U.S. is our Independence Weekend, I thought this was a good, appropriate one to end it with. It says, is Lady Liberty actually a man?
Let's substitute Michelle Obama for that.
Our Statue of Liberty, as we know, has got a lot of history behind it. Mm-hmm. However, that's the first thing that people saw when they came into the harbor was the Statue of Liberty, and she has been called Lady Liberty like forever. So now they're saying that was the statue's face modeled on the sculptor's mentally ill brother instead of originally they thought she was modeled after the mother's face.
I would say mentally ill brother because everyone in this country is mentally ill.
So,
and plus it came from France where they're very mentally ill.
Anyway, so here we go again. You know, and that's why I said it was so wonderful being up in the mountains of Italy.
Oh my God! Well, now you can't
Basically,
because now there's infiltration by ambiguous dark people.
Where I was up, there was no people. There were only mountains and fresh water and fresh air and the path, and you could walk forever and not even see anybody.
Maybe you shouldn't use the word anybody because that's gender non-specific.
Yeah, that's right. Might be fined or jailed for that.
Yes.
So,
People watch that video I posted a while ago called "The State of the World."
I don't know. I didn't
and
watch
it's all about this. Watch that video.
But anyway, I just thought it was just so ridiculous, these things. And you know,
It's beyond ridiculous.
And it's being forced. And in fact, in Europe, when I was there, and of course with my limited Italian, I asked them if they'd heard of these things, and they just looked at me very confused. And there's no way I could explain this in another language to people.
This will
What's
will never work in Poland. They would just go like,
"Really?
You're a boy. Goodbye."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is I don't want to know what you are, or who you believe in, or who you're having sex with, or whatever. You know, just live your life and leave everybody alone. Let's not legislate all this stuff. This is just totally bizarro. Bizarre world we're living in right now.
And that's the idea, is to make people so confused that they don't even know what they are. They don't know what anybody else is. They're afraid to say anything about it. And that's the whole point.
Yes, that's right. Confuse you, control you. And, you know, it's just absolutely amazing what's happening. So, that's the end of my story. So we need to tell everybody all of our fantastic things that are upcoming here at Expansions.
The most spectacular thing will be in September.
Yes, and we're already preparing and doing the research for that. So watch the website, sign up now, because people are already signing up now. And this class will fill 7 days, and we have 5 brand new lectures with brand new topics. And the rest of the information will be things you've never heard of before and you can explore.
I never even heard of it before, and I'm teaching it.
Yeah, and we're not going to tell you if you're binary or what section or anything.
Just please, people, pick a gender before you come to the class.
Yeah. And if you need to, you could be a gender X, but we really won't even ask.
And I am not politically correct, so I will call you what I think you look like.
Yeah.
Period.
So come dressed like what you're supposed to be. Like, don't come like a dog or a cat or
I will call you a dog.
A weird animal or something.
And I will call you a male dog if you're a boy.
Really? Yeah.
And if you're a female, I can call
That's
you.
enough. Alright, so that's September. And then after September, I hear you're taking off again.
Still in September.
Yeah, still in September, you're taking off.
I'm taking off. Yeah.
Where are you going to take off to?
I'm taking off my clothes.
Yeah. And then?
And then I will go to the airport.
Yeah.
Where I will designate myself as a non-binary specific blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And put an X on everything.
Yeah.
And then I will go someplace in Europe.
Yeah. And we'll tell you about that, but you have to watch the website.
Yes, and the same thing will happen in October. Except in October I'll wind up in Poland again, where I was wind up in Poland.
Yeah, but you might be cold. You might be cold.
Why?
Because you don't have any clothes on.
Right, but then again, I may not be an actual human. I might be some other
animal,
non-related human type.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
That's not specified in any documents.
You might be able to list all your alien genetics on your thing soon.
I might be able to do that.
Yeah. And don't forget, you'll be in Arizona in October.
Oh, yeah, I did forget.
Transformational Shift. And watch our website for those details. Okay, anything else?
And the webinars will start when?
The webinars start actually the end of August. I will be starting up again the self-healing group webinar. People were really disappointed when we broke for summer, but I think...
Yeah,
But you can go online, you can watch the pay-per-views that are there. And then in January, of course, we have our week-long class. People are already signing up for that as well.
And we'll be well into the Ice Age by then.
We will. So Michigan is absolutely an amazing
It's been cold even here in July.
Yeah.
It's been pretty cold,
It's been
especially
nice.
in the morning.
Very, very nice.
So anyway, people, that's it for now. And, should I call them people? Viewers, whatever you identify yourself as. I will see you next time.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.